The #1 team in the nation, South Carolina, in search of more history tonight on the road at Clemson. South Carolina has won 42 straight games, one more win, and they would break the school record for win streak. Let's go! Excited to be back with you, Courtney Lau, alongside the Hall of Famer Carolyn Pack. And South Carolina, 38-0 last year. They won a national championship. How do you top that?
Well, Courtney, I know that this will be surprising to hear, but I think this South Carolina team could be better than last year's team. They only lost, really, Camila Cardoso, who is 6'7" inside. It's going to be important that the post play is imposing for South Carolina this year, and Don Staley's got plenty of post players to choose from.
It helps they have experience inside. They also have experience outside. Te-Hina deciding to come back for a 5th year, that was big.
Te-Hina last season led the nation in three-point field goal percentage, but this year she's come back to diversify her game, so you're going to see her put it on the deck. She has terrific court vision, and I think that she will be able to really manufacture buckets for South Carolina.
Loyal McQueen is back in her home state playing for Clemson.
Transfer from Alabama, who led Alabama in not only free throw attempts, but free throw makes. She is perfect for this system of Sean Poppy because she can get by on the defense and then kick out to three-point shooters. It fits that 3-and-D style Poppy wants to play.
Yeah, new era in the Clemson women's basketball program. Sean Poppy comes over from Chattanooga, where he had success. No stranger to the ACC. He was on Kenny Brooks' staff at Virginia Tech, so he knows what this conference is about. Has never faced South Carolina, though, and he'll get that right now at home. Both teams undefeated. South Carolina already has a ranked win under its belt, beating NC State. And the Gamecocks control the tip.
Clemson's going to start out in man-to-man. It's going to be interesting, Courtney, to see how they defend the paint. Will it be difficult or easy for the Gamecocks to get the ball inside?
Te-Hina is going to drive. You will see that more often. Led the nation in three-point shooting last year. We mentioned Loyal McQueen for Clemson. Well, she's a nice compliment. Hannah Cohn came over from Chattanooga with Sean Poppy to be a Clemson Tiger.
Well, Hannah Cohn, look, this is a young woman who can shoot the basketball. Number 5 in white. Raven Johnson's going to have her hands full to make sure she takes away any open looks.
Maddie Cluse driving and gets rejected by Sanaya Fagan down low.
The staple for South Carolina, though, is their defense. And talked about the imposing of the post play. It's not just on the offensive end, but defensive as well.
3 seconds on the shot clock as Clemson gets ready to inbound. It'll be Hannah Cohn on the inbound.
It's one of the points of emphasis. Hannah Cohn had a nose ring in. No jewelry will be allowed to be worn in collegiate play.
I think she just threw it on the floor on the sideline.
I hope it wasn't real gold, otherwise I'm gonna have to go get my metal detector.
Do you carry that on or do you check it?
It's in the truck.
Okay. South Carolina's starting 5. How about Chloe Kitts? She is averaging a double-double, one of 3 averaging a double-double while shooting over 65% from the field.
Kitts put in work in the offseason. You can just tell how much stronger and confident she's playing this season.
Gets to the rim there but can't finish. Gets the rebound back and falls out of bounds, but not for lack of effort from Chloe Kitts.
There are 2 stops for Clemson of South Carolina. When you're playing a team that is as dominant as South Carolina, those are wins. So it can help you to build the confidence that you can play with South Carolina.
Tessa Miller up at the top of the key, back over to Loyal McQueen with a little shake and bake. Cohn in the corner, doesn't get the bounce.
That was the shot Clemson wants.
Bree Hall, kick out the long 2 for Sanaya. Fagan goes swish.
Yeah, the post play last year was 6-7, get the ball inside to Camila Cardoso. But when you have post players like Fagan that have a face-up game as well, it really helps open up the floor.
I think the versatility we're going to see out of South Carolina's post this year was scary for the rest of the nation. Loyal McQueen with a bucket. Fagan calling for it down low. She's guarded by Tessa Miller. Trying to kick to the corner to Bree Hall, and that's going to be a turnover.
Sean Poppy told us before the game at shoot-around this morning that most teams, when they play South Carolina, they bring a double team to the post. He said he's going to try to do a little one-on-one, and if the help comes, it's going to come from the guards.
Already 2 early turnovers in this game. Maddie Kloos banks it in! Clemson not afraid of the #1 team in the nation. Raven Johnson will set things up for the Gamecocks. Pow on the wing.
Clemson taking away any driving lanes.
The mid-range game for Chloe Kitts.
But where is South Carolina having to score from? The long twos. They're not getting anything really deep in the paint, and that's where their bread and butter is.
So talking to Sean Poppy before this game, how do you approach the #1 team in the nation? And this is what he told us were key.
You have to limit them in transitions. He said he can probably still array 10 points there and then not allow second chance opportunities defending the paint. You could probably take away 20 points there and then no live ball turnovers. He wants to slow down the pace. He said if this game's in the 60s, they got a chance.
We'll see how Poppy's plan plays out. Loyal McQueen slicing up the defense. 6 seconds on the shot clock. Tessa Miller, they got to get a shot up. It's going to stay with Clemson, but only 1 second on the shot clock. Not aware of how much time was on the shot clock.
And that's what Sean Poppy was pointing to, the shot clock. You got to know that with 1 second, you got enough time for a catch and shoot.
It's going to be the second turnover for Clemson. Uh-oh, highlight just checked in the game. Mylasia Fulwiley. If you have not seen her play, if you blink, you might miss something amazing. And she told us she's grown a lot.
So quick with the basketball.
A little too much on the shot there. McQueen throwing it up with one hand, and she's going to get fouled by Te-Hina Pow. That'll be her first.
You see Clemson trying to play with pace. Off misses. Yeah, they've got the green light to run and push it, keep the pressure on South Carolina's defense.
So Loyal McQueen, the Florence, South Carolina native, her 3rd different school, but she is back at home, where she was the Gatorade South Carolina Player of the Year. She was the #1 recruit in the state coming out of high school.
And she is one of the best at getting to the free throw line. At Alabama, she was 104 of 131 attempts.
That's a lot of attempts. Last season against South Carolina, playing for Alabama, she had 15.6 rebounds and 3 assists.
The defense of Clemson has been impressive.
They shut down Pow driving. And there's going to be a foul on the floor. It's going to be on Maddie Kloos, her first.
Down in a stance, one-on-one accountability. The defense of Clemson has been impressive thus far in this first quarter.
You know what we've seen, though, from South Carolina? I've already seen Te-Hina Pow drive at least twice in this game, not just a three-point shooter. Hannah Cohn with the rebound, the outlet up to McQueen. Back to Cohn, launching the transition. 3, a little too much. Fagan corrals it. South Carolina has had some slow starts this season.
Yeah, they had a real slow start in the first game of the season against Michigan. They settled for just outside jumpers, not really getting the ball inside. And you see how populated the paint is anytime South Carolina gets the ball.
South Carolina 2 for 9 from the field to start. Mia Moore picks up her dribble. Te-Hina Pow takes it from her. Over the defense. That breaks a 2-minute scoring drought for South Carolina.
Well, when South Carolina is struggling to score, you see the defense get ramped up. They take it to another level.
Mia Moore in the corner. Clemson in a scoring drought right now, almost 3 minutes. 7 seconds for Klus. Nowhere to go.
Watch Te-Hina Pow's eyes when she's running the floor in transition. She's scouring all across to look for opportunities.
Fulwiley kicking back to Bree Hall. And Mia Moore with the effort to swipe that rebound.
I like Mia Moore. I think that she does just a little bit of everything. Understand, she's only 5'6", but she gets on the glass. She can take it past you off the dribble. And this is the one guard you're going to see crash the board for Clemson, number 12 in white.
Mia Moore, the transfer from UAB. Just like that, getting the rebound and saving it.
Clemson playing 4 guards, only 4 out and 1 in.
Pow up ahead to Fagan. In stride and transition. Can be really good for South Carolina.
That's one of those live ball turnovers, though, that Sean Poppy did not want to see his team have.
South Carolina gets about 17 fast break points a game, and now I know that it's only 4 games into the season. Small sample size.
But it's not something new. It's something that has been traditional with Dawn Staley's teams.
That one deflected out of bounds off of Clemson, and this will be our first break in the ball game. 3:03 left in the first quarter. South Carolina up by a point. Welcome back to the ACC on ESPN. Close game here in Clemson. South Carolina on top of the Tigers, but only by a point. The defending national champions have not lost a game. And you take a look at some numbers, Peck, that stood out to you.
The biggest thing is, okay, when you start the game, it's pretty close. But when you go to the reserves, 37 points per game from South Carolina's bench, and then they dominate points in the paint in the second chance points. But so far in this ball game, Clemson's kind of held their own. Rebounding's pretty balanced. They've not allowed any second chance points. And South Carolina only 4 points in transition.
You mentioned the bench points. That was such a big key to their run last year, going undefeated and winning a national championship, was that they basically had a starting 5 coming off of their bench. And Dawn Staley told us today at practice she's still trying to figure out who to bring first off the bench, how to build that depth.
Well, she's got plenty to choose from. You see Maddie McDaniel's in the game now, and Joyce Edwards, 2 freshmen on the floor. And Tessa Johnson, who was huge in the Final Four. She was knocking down shots from the 3, and I think key for South Carolina, pulling off and winning another national championship.
Tessa Johnson was named to the Final Four all-tournament team, dealt with an ankle injury this year, but is back. And so Maddie McDaniel, number 1 in the black jersey, will run things for South Carolina.
I like Maddie McDaniel. She gets low, she's fast, she makes great decisions. She is that pass-first point guard, but she can score it.
Lasia Fulwiley misses on the drive, and Loyola McQueen loses it. How big is it for Maddie McDaniel to come in and have players like Raven Johnson and Te-Hina Pow to learn from?
I think that you could probably sell tickets at practice, at South Carolina's practice.
I think you could do that.
Yeah, the competition.
There's going to be a foul on the floor.
Yeah,
That's
Raven
Thompson, yeah.
She was trying to push Joyce Edwards off the block, and that is key to Clemson's defense. You cannot allow South Carolina's post players to bury you and get 2 feet in the paint.
They'll throw it up to Ashlyn Watkins. Misses the shot. South Carolina's had some open looks at the basket, haven't been able to make them. Transition bucket ends a 4-minute scoring drought for Clemson. And Tessa Johnson traveled.
Okay, but can we go back and look at Mia Moore's rebound? She's 5'6". She goes in, rebounds with the giant, snatches it out of the air, and then full speed to get the 2.
Woo! Coast to coast, all 5'6" of her. Waiting in the corner. Joyce Edwards looking inside for Watkins, not there. Here's Tessa Johnson. Sees an open lane. Ashlyn Watkins saved that. It went off of Clemson after she saved it.
But Raven Thompson has really been wreaking havoc inside. It's the extra effort by Ashlyn Watkins. But you watch Thompson, she's an undersized post player that has really had to transition to play more of a guard position. But she's got a good memory of what she needs to do inside.
Transferred over from Chattanooga with Sean Poppy, one of 3 players to come from Chattanooga with Coach Poppy. And Thompson gets the rebound.
South Carolina, only 4 offensive rebounds so far in this first quarter.
Fulwiley thought about the 3, gives it up to Watkins. That's going to stay with South Carolina. What do you think about the shots that South Carolina's taking in the paint?
Well, I'm going to go back to what I said in the open. The post play of South Carolina has to be more imposing. When they had Cardoso last season at 6'7", they could throw over the top. Now this season, as a post player, you got to do your work early to gain that advantage. Joyce Edwards, that's a good job right there. She had a drop step inside, caught it, and had the advantage to the rim. When I watch Joyce Edwards play, it's hard for me she doesn't look like a freshman. She has such maturity. Number 8 in black, such maturity on the floor.
It's going to be the first on Maddie McDaniel. Joyce Edwards, the National Gatorade Player of the Year. She was the number 3 recruit in this year's signing class. And they're going to get Ashlyn Watkins for the foul.
And Loyal McQueen going back to the free throw line. And shooting around this morning, I watched McQueen when she came out. She immediately started, grabbed 2 basketballs, did her ball handling, then worked on drives to the basket, different finishes inside. She's preparing to get herself right there. If she doesn't score it, she's getting to the free throw line.
Sean Poppy told us getting her to come to Clemson, it was about new opportunities, not just a facilitator, also a scorer.
Well, and Loyal, she told me, she said, listen, she appreciated everything and her opportunities that she had at Alabama, but she said the opportunity to come home, to be back in her own state, and she really felt like she could grow her game and prepare for the next level.
She already has 6 points. South Carolina can take the last shot of the quarter. Pow off the screen. And Clemson gets a stop before the quarter ends. The Clemson Tigers up by a point after 10 minutes. Well, Clemson has a 1-point lead over the #1 team in the nation. Sean Poppy is their new head coach. He's been in the ACC before. He was the associate head coach at Virginia Tech under Kenny Brooks. Then went to Chattanooga, where he was a 2-time SoCon Coach of the Year, 2-time SoCon champion at Chattanooga, and now taking over a Clemson program. And Poppy's plan seems to be paying off in the first quarter.
Well, let's go back and look. They have limited South Carolina in transition, only 4 points. Second chance points, they only have 2. Now, Clemson has 7 turnovers. They're up 1. If they can limit the turnovers, they keep themselves in the driver's seat.
Tigers working it around the horn. Here's Mia Moore trying to shake Tessa Johnson. And Raven Thompson throws it away. For South Carolina, what's got to change?
South Carolina has got to find a way to open up their offense because they're clogging, Clemson is clogging the paint. And so either South Carolina is going to have to knock down some shots or they're going to have to move, make the defense rotate using some ball screens, see how Clemson's going to guard it. See, that time, Poole was in drop coverage, but Pow didn't look for the jumper.
Joyce Edwards covered up, and it's swiped away into the hands of Summa Evans.
You see the spacing is a lot different for Clemson. They have room to operate, but when the ball's on the other end, Clemson's able to pack the paint against South Carolina.
Anya Poole, 7 seconds on the shot clock. Mia Moore trying to throw it up with one hand. That's tough to do against South Carolina's size. Te-Hina Pow. The kick out to Raven Johnson. She has not made a 3 yet this season. All kinds of opportunities.
When you start missing threes, that bucket starts to shrink. It gets smaller and smaller, making that shot that much tougher.
South Carolina 0 for 4 from 3. Remember, they don't have 6'7" Cardoso down there to get the easy rebound. Clemson's making it difficult. Mia Moore pulls up with the elbow, swatted away by Ashlyn Watkins. Pow with the spin, just short. Boyle McQueen. Stopped by Tessa Johnson. Now, Dawn Staley told us she saw there's been a lot of growth since that opener, the Michigan game, which was a really close game. She thought they were getting more comfortable together. Yeah, there's a lot of returning faces on this South Carolina roster, but they're asking them to do some different things, new roles.
Well, you talked about not having Camila Cardoso. What kind of confidence does that give you to pull the trigger from 3 when you know you've got Cardoso inside? Oh, Hannah Cone!
Falling to the floor makes it go swish. Pow misses the drive.
This is a Clemson team that just as every minute tips by, they continue to get more and more confident with what the game plan is. You see, they're going to slow down the pace. They either run the clock out or they get the shot they want.
South Carolina has not scored in the second quarter. Largest lead for the Tigers. 5 seconds. Cone.
Transition defense has been really good for Clemson. They had 3 people back.
And there's going to be a foul called, no basket.
Hannah Cone, she's been looking for that shot, the focus and the finish. The fans can't even believe it.
That foul was on Tessa Miller, her first. finally, a bucket goes in the paint.
Well, that's what you need from your experienced player. Your fifth-year senior, Te-Hina to take over and get things going for South Carolina.
Decided to come back because she learned so much from Dawn Staley and the coaches last year in her first year at South Carolina. Raven Johnson looking to go coast to coast. Loyal McQueen back the other way.
That's a good decision. Loyal McQueen pull it out. Now I don't know if I like that one, trying to go one-on-one on Fagan.
Raven Johnson is going to hold things up and reset here for the Gamecocks. Pow, top of the key. This will be Clemson basketball. That'll be the first on Kits.
There's a little bit of frustration from South Carolina because the offense isn't flowing as freely as it has leading up to this game.
South Carolina forces a turnover. Chloe Kits leading the charge. This will stay with the Gamecocks. Our ESPN2 Friday night men's college basketball doubleheader. Cooper Flagg and number 12 Duke squaring off against Jaden Bradley at number 17 Arizona. Outstanding early season matchup. It's at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific. And then RJ Davis and number 10 North Carolina against 4-0 Hawaii. Fagan throws it away.
Here's the difference. Ashlyn Watkins had a couple of years to play with Camila Cardoso. They knew where each other liked to receive the basketball, a lot of the post-to-post passing. That familiarity is not evident in what I'm seeing from the post game from South Carolina today.
Mia Moore lets it fly from the top of the key.
That's 5 threes for Clemson. That 4 out, 1 in offense. I'm sorry, 3 threes for Clemson.
Up off the window goes Bree Hall. I mean, neither team's shooting the ball great. Both under 27% from the field.
But Clemson is more patient with their offense.
More in trouble. Back to Cone. This is Addie Porter. Maddie Kloos almost lost it. 4 seconds trying to get around Chloe Kits. Count the bucket for Te-Hina Pow.
You see Pow trying to take this game over.
South Carolina down by a point on the road.
What are we watching right here between South Carolina and Texas, and South Carolina and Clemson?
Clemson is keeping this game in the half court, keeping the Gamecocks out of transition, and they're rebounding the ball. Amina out-rebounding the Gamecocks so far.
I feel like because you went to Clemson, that's why this is happening.
And you went to Carolina?
Yes.
Ladies, thank you. And South Carolina retakes the lead.
I think Kelly is exactly right. Clemson has done a nice job of keeping this a half-court game. As long as it's low scoring, they have an opportunity. What Clemson cannot allow is South Carolina to get out in transition.
Mia Moore throws up a shot in the paint. Rebound by South Carolina. It is a 6-0 run for the Gamecocks. And Te-Hina Pow, she's hit another level now.
Yeah, she knows that she's got to take this game over. As a point guard, she has to set the tone. She knows Dawn Staley wants to get points in the paint and doesn't have to come from the post. Guards can participate.
Clemson has led this game by as many as 5 points, but now South Carolina with its largest lead here at 3. Tessa Miller picks up her dribble. 8 seconds on the shot clock. Hannah Cohn, who was trying to create some space, and that's going to be an offensive foul against Cohn. Well, coming up this weekend, a chance for a huge resume boost for these teams. At the Charleston Classic, I was talking to Jay Alter, who's going to be calling this tournament. That Vandy-Nevada game, that's going to be a great game. Both teams undefeated, and it's going to be their best opponent, their best matchup so far this season.
And Mark Byington's gotten off to a great start in Nashville for the Commodores.
Coming over from JMU, where he set a school record with 32 wins last season, now leading the way for the Doors. Ashlyn Watkins short in the paint. Chloe Kitts, that's the extra strength she has added, and Sean Poppy's got to call timeout. Making all the difference here for Chloe Kitts to finish that play. South Carolina on a 10-0 run. Chloe Kitts just extended this run for South Carolina 10-0. A big piece of her off-season work was strength and nutrition.
And that's the biggest thing that she needed. Last season, a lot of times to finish play, she was in and up on the ground. She got into the weight room and really worked on keeping weight on in the off season. She even does weight workouts on game day. That's how committed she is to her fitness.
So do you. Maddie Kloos lets it fly.
I did get my workout in today. Thank you very much, Courtney Lyle.
I'm proud of you. And Molly Benetti, the strength coach, told us the biggest thing with Chloe Kitts was the nutrition piece. Not that she was eating bad, just that she needed to eat more.
Well, she just burned so many calories with it, how hard she plays.
Every game, every practice.
You know, when she came in early in South Carolina and I looked at her frame, I'm like, okay, is she an SEC player? She said, yes, I am.
No question.
With the toughness that she's brought, very, very impressive young woman for the Gamecocks.
Averaging a double-double this season. 5 seconds here for Loyal McQueen. I think Fulwiley got a hand on that ball.
And then Ashlyn Watkins got a hand on that one.
Fulwiley had a bucket last time down on this end for South Carolina. That one rolls out. Bree Hall looking for the putback, got it.
That's where South Carolina will hurt you. Running in transition and cleaning up the glass.
And all of a sudden, they're on a 14-0 run. You see, too, Dawn Staley let them figure it out.
Well, there's no need to panic, and she could start changing up the combinations until she got that spark she needed. You know, it's kind of like when you have a lighter and you click it and it doesn't light, and then you click it again and then it's fire. Well, that's what's happened with South Carolina.
I'm staying away from you.
Now, I think it started with Te-Hina Pow, Malaysia Fulwiley. The guards have really ignited. And then Chloe Kitts on the glass.
Poole trying to break a scoring drought for the Tigers. They haven't scored in 4.5 minutes. Dawn Staley is going to call a timeout. 29.5 seconds left. Good opportunity to test things with the clock winding down.
Dawn Staley is always coaching for March and April, so it's an opportunity with less than 30 seconds left on the shot clock of what you're going to execute, how you're going to take care of the ball, and making sure that you get the shot you want.
We were talking about Chloe Kitts, her game, and how she has upped her game and her physicality.
When you look at how she is very patient with the basketball, confident with the basketball, and knows what she wants to do with it. The positioning that she gets when she doesn't have the ball is even huge. And a lot of that can be based on the strength that she has.
She joined the team in the 2023 season, December 13th. Last year was her first full season. She averaged 9.1 points per game. Here, 4 games into the season, she's up to 17 points a game.
I did her first game. She was in South Dakota. Made the trip with the team. I asked Dawn, you think she's going to get in? She said, I don't know.
Yep.
Out on the court, she was able to handle it.
South Carolina looking to extend a 14-0 run. Kit's getting her own rebound. Fulwiley back out to Tessa Johnson. Fires the three. The first made three for South Carolina in the half. And that extends their run. They hold Clemson without points for the last 5 minutes.
The composure, even as the shot clock's running down. Malaysia Fulwiley could have forced a shot, but she was very composed. Saw Tessa Johnson, the three-point shooter, open, gave it up to knock it down.
South Carolina flipped a switch in the second quarter. They're up 29-17 at the half. After the break, we'll get you back into the studio with Amina Smith and Kelly Gramlich. South Carolina trying to extend a record 42-game win streak. They end the half on a 17-0 run on the road at Clemson. Courtney Lyle and Carolyn Peck back with you. One play by one of their leaders really changed the game in the first half for South Carolina.
Now remember, Courtney, I told you about, you trying the lighter, you tied it the first time, you try it the second time, and then finally there was a fire. Well, that fire started with Te-Hina Pow, and she has been that fifth-year senior and that spark that South Carolina needed. I think it was this play right here, the drive to the basket, and watch the emotion that she brings. I think that fired up the rest of this South Carolina team, and they were off and running.
Now that's when they started their run. Look at the comparison. First quarter compared to the second quarter. More points, more paint points, more second chance points for the Gamecocks.
And I'm sure in the locker room, Sean Poppy talked to his team about that plan that he started with, and he said, listen, you have got to limit the paint points for South Carolina. You cannot allow them those second chance and getting out in transition, and then they've got to slow the pace down. The pace picked up in that second quarter.
What did you think about how South Carolina handled being down by 5 points to this Clemson team and the pressure they put on them early?
I think that Te-Hina Pow was key to that because of her maturity and her experience. Not to panic because Clemson was making their run and making this a ball game, and they just stayed with the game plan, started chipping away, and South Carolina turned their defense up.
Clemson did not score for the last 5 minutes of the second quarter. They only scored 6 points in that quarter. Chloe Kitts inside. They swing it around to Raven Johnson waiting in the corner. South Carolina's only 3 came at the buzzer before the half from Tessa Johnson. More kick back out to Loyal McQueen, wide open for the 3.
She can get a consistent three-point shot. That will really help Clemson, especially when they get into ACC play.
Te-Hina Pow found her shot. Just dusted it off in the locker room.
I think Pow is the key to this team. That's why we talked about her in the open.
She was first in the nation last year in three-point percentage.
Absolutely, but it's not just her three-point shooting this year. Her leadership, I think, is going to be key for them as well.
When she decided to come back for a 5th year, you could hear Gamecock Nation, the FAMs as they call them, so excited. Traveling violation on Hannah Cohn.
The ball movement that South Carolina has, and then the ability to have your point guard. You go behind the screen, Pow's going to make you pay.
She is on the Wooden and the Naismith watch list, projected to be the number 9 pick in the WNBA draft.
I think she'll go higher than that. It's presumed that Paige Beckers will go number 1 to Dallas, but LA, Washington, they could all use, and Chicago could all use a point guard like Te-Hina Pow.
So they call a jump ball, possession arrow pointing to Clemson.
We talked about the fitness of Chloe Kitts. I think Te-Hina too has gotten herself in phenomenal shape, and it would have been very easy to rest on your laurels after winning a national championship and just, you know, start patting yourself on the back. Not Te-Hina. She went to work that much harder.
Yeah, Dawn Staley told us both her and Raven Johnson used last season as a catalyst for their work in the offseason. Inside to Joyce Edwards. Back out to Bree Hall. Hall waiting on the three. Got it!
You know what I liked about that shot with Hall is she didn't have to get ready. She was already ready before the catch. And then to hold that follow through for the finish.
I think the last couple of games we're seeing Bree Hall take some of the pressure off of herself.
Absolutely. She is a phenomenal, when she came to South Carolina, phenomenal three-point shooter. That's what she does so well. She tried to add in other things, but she got to just let the game come to her.
Three by Hannah Cohn. It's still a 23-3 run for South Carolina. Fagan inside. Off to the left.
I didn't like that shot. I like when the post players, when you get the ball in the paint, you need to go off 2 feet. It's very easy to be knocked off your shot when you go off one.
McQueen kicks to Cohn, throws it up to Maddie Klus, and it's going to be over and back.
There, you see Bree Hall able to get her feet set, knock it down, and then Hannah Cohn, she gets her puppies lined up. She's ready to knock down the three as well.
Hannah Cohn was a member of the SoCon All-Freshman team last year at Chattanooga, third in the nation in three-point percentage. Stolen away by Cohn, up ahead to Mia Moore. And drew the foul. The steal and the foul. She'll go to the free throw line.
I'd like Mia Moore. She's just tenacious. There's no fear. She's only 5'6", but she is so explosive. Not able to get the finish, but she's getting her trip to the free throw line.
You know, athletics run in her family. Her dad, Vernon, played basketball at Creighton. He was drafted in the 1985 NBA draft. She's got 2 brothers, 2 sisters. And she can ball a complete game for the 5'6" Mia Moore.
Coming out of the AAC, she was in the top 10 in points, assists, and steals per game. Top 5 in rebounding at 5'6". That's pretty tough.
You love to see that as a coach, don't you?
Absolutely.
That was swatted away by Raven Thompson, but South Carolina got it back. Here's Raven Johnson on the jumper.
And now Clemson's got to keep their composure. Move the ball, move their bodies like they were in that first quarter. They were getting anything they wanted.
Backdoor, Moore shut down. Foul on Pow.
See, that's back to that composure. Spacing, pull South Carolina's defense out. If they're not going to guard you from the three, you can shoot the three, but if they put that pressure on, then you beat that pressure with backdoor cuts.
So just like that, Mia Moore back at the free throw line.
You look at the spacing. Moore on the backdoor cut on Bree Hall. And still, the strength to not, if she's not going to finish it, draw the foul and get to the free throw line.
Mia Moore, 9 points, 6 rebounds. Ashlyn Watkins checks back in for South Carolina. Pow leading the Gamecocks right now with 11 points. Travel. 8 turnovers now for South Carolina.
Oh,
so close, rolls out. Joyce Edwards with the travel. You hate that because the ball movement was beautiful.
It was, but Joyce has got to know where she is on the floor. She got below the block there, and she got herself in an awkward situation that caused the travel.
Remember, this is only her 5th game in college basketball, and she told us today, I'm just trying to figure out the speed, the flow, how to play with these players, the number 3 overall recruit.
But she'll dissect it. This is a high IQ, high academic player. She already knows what she wants to do when she graduates.
Environmental lawyer.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Tessa Miller inside. She's battling. Look, there's 3 South Carolina players around her. She doesn't give up on it.
It's a second foul on Raven Johnson. Tessa Miller gets them both. Pow rejects the screen. Raven Johnson waiting in the corner.
Watch Hannah Cohn. Every time she catches it, she looks at the rim. She wants to let it fly.
Clemson has not had a field goal in almost 3 minutes. Raven driving, rebound, put back, Ashlyn Watkins. Do you think she remembers this gym fondly? I think a couple of years ago, made some history for South Carolina here.
Yeah, just a little dunk action.
The first woman to dunk in South Carolina basketball history, and she did it at Clemson 2 years ago as a freshman.
We got to see her do it last year.
You were not there.
Kentucky. Well, I watched it on TV, and I was at the Kentucky game, sitting next to you. I was jealous that you got to see the first one.
I love the patience to find her shot on that play.
Well, and what has South Carolina done? They've simplified the offense. They've gone to a high ball screen, got an opposite low post. That frees up a driving lane for Te-Hina Pow.
That's 24 paint points now compared to just 4 for Clemson. Thompson back out to Miller, and that's going to be a turnover. Te-Hina Pow, 13 points.
And just maneuvering off the ball screen, rejects it, gets the finish. The 5th-year senior taking charge.
Welcome back to Feast Week, presented by Lowe's. Get out your airbrush t-shirt and your saltwater taffy. 6th year of the Myrtle Beach Invitational. Now, in the previous 5 years, get this, Coach Peck, 9 of these teams that played in this tournament went to the postseason. This year, 8 teams, 12 games. The championship will be Sunday at 5:30 p.m. on ESPN.
Playing in these tournaments, especially in the non-conference, can help you prepare not only for your conference, but getting ready for that postseason, because you're playing every night. Scouting reports change. You've got to be ready to flip the script.
South Carolina has flipped the script from the first quarter, where they were down a point after the first 10 minutes of this ball game. Watkins in and out, just wanted to pad the stat sheet there, rebound and the putback. Meanwhile, Clemson has not had a field goal in almost 5 minutes. They haven't scored in over 2 minutes.
South Carolina, 26 points in the paint. You can go into the game plan of trying to take that away from South Carolina, but that's easier said than done. So when the shot goes up with South Carolina, you can't turn and look and see where the ball is coming. You got to go find somebody to check out, because the Gamecocks, they're not going to stop going after every rebound they can get.
6-0 run for the Gamecocks. Five seconds here for the Tigers. And Cone turns it over. Malaysia Fulwiley. Joyce Edwards going to the free throw line.
But I'm sure Coach Poppy is going to show his team once again, not one person after the layup, look to find somebody to box out. And that's what you're going to have to do to keep South Carolina or anybody in the ACC off the glass.
Up and in for Joyce Edwards. Raven Thompson called for her second foul. You know, this is an SEC-ACC matchup. A couple weeks. We've got the SEC-ACC Challenge coming.
Yeah, we've got Virginia Tech against Georgia, and then we get to travel down the road and have South Carolina and Duke go head-to-head.
That's going to be a really fun series of games. How about, it's Texas Notre Dame, right?
Oh, yeah. That's one of the ones I'm really looking forward to. We have Madison Booker and Olivia Miles.
Offensive foul against Loyal McQueen. Charge taken by Tessa Johnson.
Johnson just so willing to sacrifice her body. She gets herself organized and both feet down in order to take the charge.
Remember, that arc on the circle does not matter, does not factor into women's basketball. So she can be inside of it or out.
Just the pressure one-on-one defensively by South Carolina. Early in that second quarter, it just seems like Don Staley said, listen, you got to turn it up defensively, and everybody is taking that to heart.
They've responded. Fulwiley the drive and kick. Here's Pow probing.
Ashlyn Watkins.
She just tipped it back up into the basket. That's 8 points for Watkins.
She's the most experienced, other than Chloe Kitts, post player for South Carolina. And it's going to be important for her to continue to have that type of contribution night in and night out.
She was the number 12 overall player coming out of high school as Hannah Cone with the layup. Tessa Johnson looking for the transition three. Hit one at the buzzer just before halftime. Joyce Edwards, oh, short on the spin. Got the rebound and the putback. That's a freshman.
I wanted that first one to go because on that spin move, she went to finish with her left. That would have been nice.
Don Staley told us the more experience, the better for Joyce Edwards right now, who's making the transition to the college game. Fulwiley, no look to Joyce Edwards, someone she used to play against in high school.
They were big rivals in high school. Both of them could have flashbacks of specific games. In the state championship, wasn't that the one where Fulwiley had 41 points and Joyce Edwards knew it?
She also reminded us it was on 41 shots. South Carolina up 20. They've led by as many as 23.
Look for them to use high ball screen action.
And the quarter ends with a scramble on the floor. But South Carolina up by 20. 22 points scored in the third quarter. Te-Hina Pow leading the way with 13 points for the Gamecocks. South Carolina's theme this year is uncommon, and they have a coach that is uncommon. She has an incredible career at Virginia, the National Player of the Year, the 2-time ACC Player of the Year, was a 5-time WNBA All-Star, and while she was still playing in the WNBA, she started coaching at Temple, not to mention her USA basketball success, where she was a 3-time Olympic gold medalist, and then 3 national championships at South Carolina.
Look, in the last 10 years, Dawn Staley has had 7 30-win seasons. She's been to 6 of the last 9 Final Fours, all of the last 4 as well. I mean, it's success after success after success. And when she came to South Carolina, she said she knew what success looked like, what it felt like, what it sounded like, and she has really brought that to Columbia.
Traveling violation on Loyal McQueen. When she inherited South Carolina, her first season in SEC play, they went 2-12. Now they haven't lost an SEC game since the 2022 SEC Tournament Championship. It's now 2024.
That's what year it is?
Math.
And the roster that she has, loaded with talent. There's a freshman right there, Maddie McDaniels. Yet another part of this, the talented squad that Dawn Staley continues to assemble. The simplification of the offense, just a high ball screen, and when you know you've got guards who can take it off the bounce like that, why not? You know, we were talking to Dawn about, remember when the freshies came in and the conversation was, how do you keep everybody happy? And she said that the women that come here, they come here for a reason. They know that they are going to develop their game. They know they're going to experience success and be prepared to go to the next level.
Boy, Kit's a bit short. And possession arrow is going to be pointing to Clemson. You know, just like Dawn Staley inherited a program that had to be rebuilt, that's what Sean Poppy is walking into at Clemson. The energy in his shoot-around today, the buy-in from his players,
yeah.
It's contagious.
Look, a quiet gym is a losing gym. There was nothing quiet about shoot-around this morning. And he had the right plan coming in, and they got away from it in that second quarter. South Carolina really just employed their will. But I think that this is a team, as they get more and more experience together, I think good things are going to happen here in Clemson.
Keep in mind, they have 10 newcomers. All 5 starters are transfers. He told us he wants people to see, get a taste tonight as Tessa Johnson hits, get a taste tonight of what this Clemson program is about to become. He's very excited about what he can build here.
I thought it was really interesting in what he talked about and what he learned from Kenny Brooks, who is now at Kentucky when he was an assistant in Virginia Tech. It's all about relationships, teaching. That's what can happen.
More history could be made tonight in 30 minutes at 7 o'clock. UConn is going to play Fairleigh Dickinson. And Gino right now is tied with Tara Vanderveer for the most wins among men's or women's college basketball.
And he did so. He got to 12-16 in 106 fewer games. How about that? And when you look at, he has 11 national championships, 23 Final Fours, and great names, great players he's had. Jamel Elliott, Jen Rosati, Rebecca Lobo, Nikisha Sales, Kara Walters. You got the great Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird. I mean, the list goes on. And what, Brianna Stewart.
I mean, you could be naming them the rest of this game.
It could keep going. He's had 45 players that have been drafted into the WNBA.
When you watch his teams, when you've been around him, what makes him an elite coach?
How he teaches his players the game, and they hold themselves to a higher standard, night in and night out. That's what has afforded them to get to so many Final Fours.
Dawn Staley has a very high standard for her program at South Carolina as well. It's allowed them to reach 6 Final Fours over the last 9 tournaments. Ashlyn Watkins at the free throw line.
Watkins is one of those players that's going to leave her print on the South Carolina basketball team in what she did as a freshman, sophomore, now in her junior season. And this is a player that can get up in the air and make some lemonade out of some lemons.
You love lemonade.
I do.
She's got her first double-double of the season tonight, too. She'll help up Loyal McQueen. That's going to be the third against Ashlyn Watkins. So she will step out, and Miriam Dowda, the transfer from Arkansas, number 30 in black, will step in.
What a luxury to have so many post players. And you can get something a little bit different from each one of them. You're always going to get rebounding. They're going to have a post presence, but you've got some that have that face-up game. You've got shot blockers. And you got about 6 to pick from.
Is it finding the right combos right now? Where are we at in that stage?
Well, I think it's who plays well with whom.
Yeah.
How well did Chloe Kitts play with Camila Cardoso last season?
That got her in the starting lineup. Maddie McDaniel.
I like that freshman. She's quick off the bounce. I like her decision-making, when to slow and when to go.
Loyal McQueen with an open lane to the basket.
McQueen's been kind of quiet since that first quarter. She hasn't gotten to the rim as often as she did early on.
Well, she had 6 points in the first quarter. She's got 10 for the game.
This is what Loyal McQueen did in that first quarter. Able to take South Carolina off the bounce.
Anya Poole checks back in for the Tigers. And Addie Porter with the steal. Gives it up to Loyal McQueen. Addie Porter, one of the transfers from Chattanooga, and she knew when she transferred it was going to be a different role for her.
But she wanted to be a part of a program that Sean Poppy was coaching.
Tessa Johnson.
Look, Tessa, coming from Belmont, has had big games against Power 4 schools. And she had a big game against Stanford and Georgia. The rankings don't matter. She can come out, she can mix it up with the best of them. Uh-oh.
Just short, and this is going to be Tiger basketball.
Had a little flashback of Paris last year when Fulwiley went behind the back. She just wasn't able to finish that one.
That was her first game of her career.
It was a highlight. And I asked her, what was the difference between your freshman season and this season? She said the freshman season, it started out against Hannah Hidalgo, who plays fast. And she said that really is her comfort zone, playing with speed. But when you play teams that then are very deliberate and slow down the game, that was something she had to adjust to.
She said this year, better playing with pace.
I'll tell you, GMs in the WNBA need to keep an eye on number 12 in white, Mia Moore.
And I'd say number 12 in black, Mylasia Fulwiley. They got a few years.
Yeah, they got to wait a few years on Fulwiley.
Yeah. They can still look. They can still take a peek.
Oh, they're watching her, that's for sure.
Shootout! Let's go! That's going to be a foul on Clemson as Mylasia Fulwiley trying to get to the basket. Well, this ACC Network women's volleyball matchup is so big, we're promoting it already. Big rivalry. #1 Pitt taking on #3 Louisville with the ACC regular season title and the #1 seed on the line. It's next Wednesday. Olivia Babcock, sophomore opposite. She could be the National Player of the Year. She's made the watch list for the Player of the Year, was the Freshman of the Year last year. You can't miss her. What Dan Fisher has done with this Pitt program, incredible. They have been to the last 3 national semifinals.
Can I ask you a volleyball question?
Of course you can.
What is an opposite?
It means they swing from the right side.
Okay, I'm learning.
Yeah. She can also swing from the left side, though. She's that good. Courtney Lyle and Carolyn Peck with you here at Littlejohn Coliseum. South Carolina, this was close in the first quarter. Clemson actually led by a point after the first 10 minutes of this ball game, but only scored 6 points in the second quarter. Te-Hina Pow helped South Carolina flip the switch.
Absolutely. She turned up the intensity. She's got 13 points. But I think if you look at 2 important categories, points in the paint, South Carolina wins that 42-10, and then the bench contribution, 37-3.
Miriam Dowda looking for the 3 and misses. She just got into the game. She's the only player for South Carolina that has not scored. 37 points off the bench for the Gamecocks.
Dowda, transfer from Arkansas in Mike Neighbors' program. She shot the 3. It is part of her arsenal.
Almost had the steal. There's a foul before that. The foul's on Sanaya Fagan, her first.
Fagan's like, what did I do?
Some history on the line for the South Carolina program. They're trying to set a school record for consecutive wins and break their own record. They're at 42 straight wins right now, looking for 43 tonight.
I think they're well on their way. They got off to a slow start, and they have done so earlier in this season. They've got to fix that and find a way to consistently get off to a quick start.
Is there something common that keeps popping up in the slow starts?
Their opponents pack the paint, and when they're not able to score in the paint, then I think the basket shrinks a little bit. It makes it a little tougher for those 3-point balls to fall as well.
Fourth foul against Tessa Miller. Sakima Walker will check in for South Carolina. This will stay with the Gamecocks. You know, keeping your eye on a player in the ACC and a player in the SEC. Who you got, Peck?
Well, they're 2 guards. Madison Booker, who she really models her game after Kevin Durant. If you haven't seen her so far this season, you need to watch her because she's gotten herself in great shape. She had 25 points today in 24 minutes. And then there's Olivia Miles at Notre Dame.
Oh, buzzer 3 from Maddie McDaniel.
Oh, McDaniel is an impressive freshman. It's kind of the freshman season that Olivia Miles started with at Notre Dame. She is back after missing last season. But I'm going to tell you, she has taken her game to another level. She, across the board, career highs in rebounding, in points, in field goal percentage. She has taken her game to another level. That's another player that potentially she could come out this year and could be in the WNBA draft.
Ooh. Okay. Spicy. These are going to be some fun duos, too, because you've got Olivia Miles paired up with Hannah Hidalgo. And then in the SEC, Madison Booker and Rory Harmon is back.
Absolutely.
Harmon had an injury last season. Look at this freshman.
Maddie McDaniels, I told you, She is a pass-first guard, but she has the ability to score it, and look how excited the bench is for South Carolina.
Anya Poole.
The defense, too, by McDaniels. Quickness.
Pass inside to Sakima Walker. South Carolina gets it back. Miriam Dowda in the corner.
I told you she had three-point range in her bag. That's what I'm talking. The post players, each one brings something a little bit different.
It's going to be interesting to see how they start to figure each other out. This only being the 5th game of the season, too, when they bring those different elements in a game, how they work together for South Carolina.
And I think it's going to be opponent-specific, too, of the matchups of who Dawn plays with who.
Raven Johnson just cutting to the rack.
Well, I'm going to tell you why that happened, because Dowda is outside the 3. Walker opens up the lane, gives up her post up, and that gives the driving area for Raven Johnson.
Little air guitar from Bree Hall on the bench. Raven Thompson, Summa Evans back in for Clemson. Maddie Ott has checked in as well out of Frisco, Texas.
You pointed out, Courtney, Raven Johnson, number 25 in black, coming into today and played over 100 minutes, and she didn't pick up her first foul until today. So, and this is one of the top defenders for South Carolina.
Next step for South Carolina, is it getting off to a better start?
I think so. I think that's the thing that they've got to focus on starting the way that they finish ball games. And it's got to start with their defensive intensity, because if they get stops and get out running early, then their offense really starts to click.
4 seconds for Clemson. And it's a shot clock violation, I think, before the foul. For Clemson, we saw a really good start, and they came in with a good game plan. That first quarter, they led after 10 minutes.
Well, and Sean Poppy knows that Rome wasn't built in a day, but he is laying the foundation of what this program is going to be about. His players know the plan. They are disciplined in what they do, and they're only going to get better as he continues on.
The win streak lives on for the Gamecocks. A South Carolina record, 43 straight wins.
And Dawn Staley, look, she hangs her hat on her team's defense. She's got the post game to be able to dominate in the paint, dominate on the glass, and the guards that put the pressure on the perimeter, both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball.
"43 straight wins for the South Carolina Gamecocks. They beat Clemson for the 14th straight time. They've also won 33 straight games on the road, and this one they had to figure it out.
Yeah, got off to a slow start in that first quarter. Dawn Staley had to try a number of different combinations, but it was their 5th-year senior, Te-Hina who, with her aggressiveness to the basket and just her emotion that she brought to the floor, really fired this team up.
Te-Hina Paopao, 13 points today, 3 rebounds, a couple of assists, and deciding to come back, a big factor, a big get for the South Carolina Gamecocks. And Te-Hina is joining us now. Te-Hina, how did this Clemson team challenge you guys early, and what was the conversation in the first half?
They were very scrappy, very physical. They came out punching first. We were kind of shocked by that, but then we gathered as a team and said we can't let them do that to us, and then we came back and fought back.
In that second quarter, Te-Hina, you had a drive to the basket. You rolled, you got up with emotion. What was it that you felt you had to take upon yourself to really change the momentum of this game?
The coaches called my number and said you got to attack the rim, and that's what I did. The 3-ball wasn't loving me today, so I was able to rely on attacking the basket. And too bad I didn't make the free throw. I'll make the next one, but
we'll forgive you for that one.
Yeah, thank you. I hope so. I hope my coaches will too.
South Carolina has struggled with this season, inconsistent on what your starts are like. What is going to be important for you all to get off to a good start?
It starts on the defensive end. When we have a really good defense, we got to get back to our core, and that's defense. And when we lock in from the start on defense, it's a, guaranteed, not a guaranteed win, but it feels good to get off that good start.
Te-Hina, a new South Carolina record, 43 straight wins.
Whoa!
What has been the biggest factor in continuing the winning streak?
You got to take one game at a time. Everyone's going to give them their best, and we got to come with the mindset that, we got to take one game at a time and play for 40 minutes, and then you just got to play your best.
Te-Hina, what is the biggest difference between last year's team and this one?
I think it's been a common thing, our post players. We had a dominant big last year with Camilla, and we have so many good post players, but we're still trying to find our groove in the different combinations and lineups. But, you still got to put 5 out there, and those 5 got to compete.
Little history made tonight. Congratulations on 43 wins in a row. South Carolina gets it done on the road. Thanks, Te-Hina.
Thank you.
77-45, your final. South Carolina extending it, tested early, but coming out with another big win. The #1 team in the nation, still undefeated. 5-0 behind 13 points from Te-Hina Paopao. All but one player who played scored for the South Carolina Gamecocks as they win 77-45.